Got it.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Telworx business series. It's great to see all of you guys here in the morning. As usual, I'd like to go ahead and start by thanking the Glendora and Whittier Chambers of Commerce, not only for their support of this series of workshops, but for everything they do to support our local business communities. So thank you guys for all that you do. Real quickly about Telworx. All of your businesses need technology to run and function on a day-to-day basis. But everyone in your business has a more productive use of their day than trying to figure out the technology you should be using and then going out and actually sourcing and implementing it. That's why Telworx is here. We work with you and your business to understand very specifically what you need, and then we go and work with our portfolio of more than 500 providers to get the exact solution that is going to fit your business, and then help actually implement it so that you can go ahead and focus on running your business and doing what you do best. Now, with that, we know that there are certain things that every business is going to need. Every business is going to need internet service. Every business is going to need phone system. You're going to need network and security services. And you're going to need marketing, and more specifically, digital marketing and managing your digital and online presence. There are approximately 8.5 billion search requests that go through Google every single day, which means that there's a really good chance that right now, someone is actually looking for the product or service that you guys provide. So the question then becomes, how do you ensure that you are showing up at the top of those search results so that people can actually find your business and start engaging with you? Now, some of you may be concerned at this point that I'm going to keep going on and talking and try and actually answer that question. Fear not. I am very, very excited to welcome back Laura Gibbs, now of Thrive. And she's going to actually go ahead and answer that question and a whole lot more for you guys. Just as a quick point of full disclosure, Telworx is a client of what used to be Vivial, now Thrive. And I say that to point out that I work very closely with Laura and her team, not only to help make sure that you guys are getting found online, but also to make sure that Telworx is getting found online when people are searching for us. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Laura.
Thank you very much, John. And thanks for the introduction. Yes, it's been very fun working with John and his team at Telworx. And John and I, if you haven't already picked up on it, we nerd out over this stuff. So I am going to share my screen. I have prepared just 4 tactics. And if 4 doesn't sound like a lot, it's kind of a lot, but I want you to take down notes. So if you have a notepad, unless that one person who is driving, don't pull out a notepad, please. We're all watching and you'll ruin our lives. So don't pull out a notepad, but you can always watch this recording. But I do want you to take notes. I want you to use this. I always like to look at webinars as like a working session. We have really packed days. And when you have an hour that you've committed to for your own self-development and the development of your business, you might as well workshop it, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. And John and Sue, if you could please, if anyone has questions or post something in the chat, I just have like a little color view of you all right now. So please feel free to say, hey, Laura, stop, answer this question. It's essential before we move forward. Or if it's just kind of a general question, we will do a Q&A at the end. So Google, king of search. There's a lot of women on this. I'd rather say queen of search, but it's okay, John. Yep. Okay, so Google, king of search. Let's get started. So 4 tactics to set your business up for success. And as John said, last time I did one of these, I was with a company called Vivial. We are now Thrive. So we have just that much more to offer. And we will save that for a later webinar talking about managing your customers and managing the job. But today we're going to give a lot of tips on how to get the customer, get the job, get found on Google. Okay. If you, and again, if you have a burning question, post it in the chat, or if is there a hand raise feature in Zoom? There may be, feel free to do that too. Whatever you want. Okay. So first, we're going to identify the digital foundation. John knows that I always like to spell out some sort of agenda for what we're talking about. So that is what's going on here. And yeah, so we'll talk about the digital foundation, just some key tips and some stats just to make sure we're all on the same page and we all agree that Google is the place to be if you are a business owner. We'll then get into those 4 tactics and then the Q&A. So first, if you have a business, which I know many, if not all of you do, if your business isn't found online, on social or mobile, you are missing potential customers. You absolutely are. So I think we can all agree to that. So we don't have to make a case for that. But some stats to support that fact. 92% of all searches begin on Google. So that's a lot. And I think in the flyer for this webinar, it was pointed out that only 3% go to Bing. So Google is a mammoth. And I know there's a lot of browsers and search avenues out there. Google is obviously the elephant in the room, right? So 92% of all searches begin on Google, which means it's important for your business to be there. Half of searches on Google have local intent. And as I go through this, I am a marketer's dream. I'm in marketing. I'm also a marketer's dream. And I will share with you some examples. Like yesterday, I have a friend who is flying in from New York. We are meeting up for dinner and they're staying in like San Mateo area. I'm in the Bay Area. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what kind of food do you like? I really could go for some Greek food. Okay. I pull out this, right? Greek food, San Mateo. What's the next thing I do? I look at what comes up on Google Maps. I see the one that is closest to San Mateo for their convenience. I then look at reviews. And that's how I make my local, it was a local intent. And I made a decision to choose Mykonos Meze, which looked really great, 4.8 stars in San Mateo, local to me. I can also GPS that location. All of that is done through what we're going to talk about today. So if you are a local business, that's how easy you want it to be for your consumers to find you. So a quick little quiz, and John kind of said this in the beginning. There are how many searches per day on Google? And I'll even take queries per second if that's a stat, Anyone want to shout that out? It has gone up considerably, even in the last year or two. It's insane. Okay, I'll do searches per second because that blows my mind. Think of a second, 63,000 searches per second. So by the time I'm finished talking, which will be about 20 to 30 minutes total, right? I can't even do the math. That's a ton, right? So there's lots of searches happening, lots of opportunities for your business to show up locally. And half of those searches being done have local intent. So they're trying to find you. So let's talk about some tactics here, or I'll mention this last little point here just because I put it on the slide. So why not? Consumers that engage with a brand on social media spend 40% more. If you are one of those people like myself, who is a marketer's dream, maybe you're on Instagram, maybe you're on Facebook, you're on a social space, you get ads that are perfectly targeted to you because it's scanning all of your browsing habits and picking up on all your information, you are likely to spend 40% more, whether it's on a service, whether it's on a consultation, or whether it's on a product. So again, having your business show up in social spaces is going to place you at an extreme advantage. All right. So I have a little activity that I'd like us all to do just to get in the headspace. Again, I said I like to turn this into a workshop, and I want this to be beneficial for you. So let's kind of high level outline a little marketing strategy for ourselves, for our businesses. First, I want you to write down, thinking of your business, who do you want to attract? Okay. If you are a mortgage broker, you're probably not looking to attract somebody who's not looking to buy a home, right? You want somebody who's looking for a mortgage. So if you are a hair salon, you want people who are looking to get their hair cut. So who do you want to attract? I want you to take a moment, write down your target customer. Okay, hopefully you've all jotted something down. Next, what actions do you want them to take? If you're a contractor, maybe you want them to request a quote. Hey, my roof is leaking. I have this many square feet. What does that look like? Maybe you want to request a quote, book a consultation. You know what's coming next. Where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to your website? If so, this first tactic is going to be really important for you to listen up on if you want them to go to your website. Maybe you have a landing page. Maybe you're a little bit more advanced than the average business owner and you're like, oh, I want landing pages so I can get all that tracking and reporting and know exactly where people are heading, what services they want. When do you want them to do this? Now? Do you need business right now? Are you booked out until August? Good for you if you are. What's your plan for August? Are there other services you can offer in the meantime? Maybe you're booked out on, tree removal service, but you also offer landscaping. We're going into the summer. It's barbecue season. I want a nice yard for a barbecue. I live in an apartment. I don't have a yard. But when do you want them to do this, right? You can't just think about the right now. And a lot of clients, and John will attest to this too, we have a lot of clients who are like, okay, well, this month I'm really full, so I'm not ready to talk about my marketing. Well, what about next month? It takes a little while for Google's algorithm to pick up what you're doing. I usually say about 90 days. That's 3 months. You want to be thinking more like quarterly, annually. You have to think of that more long-term plan. And then this last one, how much time, money, resources. Sorry, I designed my own slides. The designer would smack my wrist for this, probably. How much time, money, resources do I have for this? You don't have to share that with me. Write that down for yourself. Do you have a person in the office who writes content for you? If they do, are they qualified to do that? Because I know a lot of people who can write content, but maybe nobody should see it, right? So what kind of resources do you have available to you? Have you set aside a marketing budget? Do you have an in-house marketing team? What does that look like? Because we just wrote down who, what, where, when. We've got a very high level plan, what you want to do. Now, how do you make that happen? How are you supposed to do that, right? That's the question you want to ask. Okay, let's get into these 4 tactics. And along the way, I will stress this. It's imperative for you to meet your customer where they're at. You want to make it easy for them to find information. You want it easy for them to find what they're looking for. And then lastly, you want to make it very easy for them to connect with you. You don't want them to find an old phone number or go to a website that's like, oh, I typed in the URL correctly, but it's saying this site's for sale. That's not good, right? You want to make it very easy for them to connect with you. All right. Tactic number 1, build a responsive website that answers customers' needs. All right, this is a little quiz. What is a responsive website? What does that even mean? I know someone who knows this. Okay, a responsive website is a website that can be accessed by any device used to access the internet. That's the easy way of looking at it. So can I use a mobile device? Yes. When I get there, is it seamless, or are the images over each other, or are the drop downs not working? I want you to take some time today, and I'm also going to share a link with you. I'm not going to send it now because then you all do it and you won't pay attention, because that's what I would do. I almost just copied it and put it in the chat right now. That's how tempted I was. There is a test that you can do to see if your website's mobile friendly, and not just yes, no, does it show up on mobile? It might say yes, but there's some issues. Your text is overlapping. The site speed is too slow. Think of how long you will sit and wait for a website to load before you jump off. That's called bounce rate. You want to make sure that's low, right? You want people to find exactly what they're looking for. That starts with your website. So 40% of people will choose another result if the first website that they land on is not mobily friendly. So if it's taking too long, if it's distorted, if the text looks weird, any of that stuff, I'm finding something else to look at. And I think 40% is kind of low, but maybe I'm just projecting my own impatience onto other people. But yeah, so having a mobily friendly site is essential. Some other tips that I will give you are, of course, mobilely friendly, but then you want to motivate your customers to take action. I will use a personal client example here. So I have a client who he's in the cattle business, and he's it's very interesting. He's a beef farmer. However, like a cow is a living thing. It takes a while to grow a cow. We're not just growing them overnight. Actually, it takes 18 months to grow a cow to the point where you can say, okay, you can buy this and eat it. Sorry for the vegans on the call. That's a long time. That's a long turnaround time. So last time I talked to him, he's like, well, we got to kind of wait. So we might need to take our ads down for a bit because we're out of cows. I'm like, oh, that's like good for you for selling out your stock. However, what are you doing in the meantime? How are you bringing in money in the meantime? I thought you mentioned before you sell some other things. Oh yeah, we got bone broth, we've got butter, we've got this. That's not what his site looks like. It's not content rich with things that outline his other services and things that he could sell to customers. So making sure that your website fully expresses the products and services that you have in a way that make it very easy for me to know what I can buy from you, that you have to do that. And it has to correlate to the search that was done on Google. Grass-fed beef, bone broth. A lot of people are into bone broth. Whatever you're typing in has to land on that website. It starts with your website. Okay.
Hey,
And
Laura,
then site, yeah,
do you mind if I interrupt for just a moment?
nope.
Okay, you mentioned a couple minutes ago the speed. Your website needs to load quickly.
Mhm.
How quickly does it need to load? And I'm asking this to the rest of the group because you and I both know the answer, or roughly. But how quickly does your website need to load to keep people actually on it before people say, all right, this is taking too long, I'm going somewhere else? Okay, the amount of silence that has taken place is already too long.
Yeah, very good point. John, you want to share how fast a website's supposed to load?
Less than 3 seconds.
Less than 3 seconds. Can I tell you how many client sites load in less than 3 seconds? Not very many. It's an aggressive task. I would say personally, if it's less than 5, you're ahead of the rest, right? But it's got to be fast. It's got to be really quick. Most text messages are answered in less than 3 seconds. So think about that. Think about how quickly, or at least you go like this and you look at, oh, okay, there's the message. Don't need to get back right now, right? It has to be quick. We're not very patient.
I have a question about
Yeah.
that. Why
Yeah.
does it take so long for websites to load?
There's a lot of factors. That's a great question. The one that I see the most is when people have embedded videos or very or pictures that are like really high resolution, that kind of heavy content. Those are two big things that I see a lot. Just kind of text, that sort of stuff doesn't take very long, but when you have plugins, that takes a long time. If you have like a portal that somebody's logging into, all that creates like weight on the website. It takes a long time for it to load. But yeah, great question. Which doesn't mean you shouldn't have pictures, you should, but there's a way to do it that's a little lighter.
Okay, that was the other question. Like, are we not supposed to have those kinds of things on the website? And when is it appropriate to have those kinds of things? So anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, you can always, I mean, some things that I always recommend, like if you're going to do a video, host it on YouTube, plug it into your site. You're going to get SEO value from that, and it's going to make your site move more quickly. So that's like one tip, for example. But yeah, lots of ways to kind of quicken up the page load speed. Great question. And then the last thing I'll say about websites before we move on to tactic 2 is site hosting. Make sure you're with a reliable vendor for your hosting. I have come across clients that unfortunately are like, oh my gosh, my page is down. I wonder when that happened. You want to make sure somebody's keeping an eye on that. The site hosting is important. Indexing your site with Google increases your online visibility. Very easy to index your site. It's a couple of steps. If you need help with that, reach out to John or myself. But indexing your site with Google is essential to being found, kind of like listing your business with the Chamber of Commerce. And then having a security code or a security tag, an SSL certificate on your site. So if you go to your website, next to your URL on the left, you see a little lock. If you don't see a lock, you do not have a security certificate. It will also say not secure. So it's actively shaming you. It's like, this site is not secure. That'd be like, this person is untrustworthy. Don't talk to them. That's what that's saying. So make sure you have an SSL certificate. They're pretty inexpensive to pick up. Again, if you need help though, John and I can help. All right, tactic 2. This one is the most, so this is business listings, directory optimization, and ensuring that your online listings are accurate and consistent. What does that mean? So local listings, that is optimizing your directories or your local listings. That is how I go from doing, like I said, Greek restaurant, San Mateo, the options that pop up in Google's map. Those are people who have optimized their directory listings. That is how you play in that space. I'll give you a stat here that I think is really compelling, and that is 88% of searches for local business on a mobile device either call or visit that business within 24 hours. That's how effective local search and keeping your directories optimized is, or how important it is. So how do you do this? There are a few different companies out there that can help you with this. We are one of them. Yelp is one of them, or not Yelp, sorry, Yext, wrong 4-letter Y name. Yext is one of them. So making sure you have those accurate listings that are up to date helps build trust with me, the person looking on my phone. It also helps me find your business more easily, and it also helps with your SEO and building trust with Google. So this definitely includes optimizing your GBP, used to be your GMB. Yeah, you know me. I feel like I'm getting into like that. Okay. GBP, Google Business Profile. That's what that is. If you are not sure if you have a Google Business Profile that is optimized, you can do a search for your business and click on your business when it comes up and see if there's a knowledge panel that comes up, that little profile at the side. Or if you come up in the map section, that's even better, right? I will stress that if you are sitting at your business location and you search and you're like, well, popped up, I'm already optimized, no problem. You're literally sitting in your location. Your clients are not. So keep that in mind, right? You want to reach the people that are not sitting in your waiting room or office or what have you. So optimizing your Google Business Profile is important. This is you claiming your property on Google, and it allows you to get placed in that local pack, those 3 listings that show up at the top of a search. Or like right under the ads, and the map section. So very important. So do a search for that later. If you are still unsure how optimized you are, I would like to offer everyone on this call a free SEO or directory report where I can do a scan of your business and see how you are showing up in Google's trusted list of directories. So I'm happy to do that for everyone. Something that changed this year, or like end of last year, beginning of 2022, is it is now easier than ever to claim your business on Google search and Google Maps. So it's really about just going into the search bar, finding your business name, clicking on your business name. And if you're like, I didn't create this, I don't know who did this, or this information isn't correct, you can claim your business. There's a little link to do that, and then manage now. And then you'll go through the steps for managing and claiming that business. That's something that you can do. All right, so that's tactic 2. Online listings, make sure they're accurate, consistent, your Google Business Profile set up. Tactic 3. All right, so leveraging social profiles and engaging with your audience. So many of my clients will say to me, hey, yeah, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram, I have a LinkedIn, like that's all set up, box check. You have to engage with your audience in those places, or it's kind of like buying real estate in the middle of the woods and then not telling anyone how to get there. It's like, do you really own that property? I don't really know. You have to engage and give people a little direction on how to visit you, how to engage with you. You have to continue to post content. As a society, as a digital society, we're very active on social media. How many of you personally have an Instagram, have a Facebook, or have social media? I know I do. John Bogg, you are so awesome. I do, and I check it more than I should, and I also spend a lot of money there. So yeah, there's a lot of benefit to having social media besides just this is today's word of mouth, right? Social is today's word of mouth, especially in the past 2 years where we've been in this pandemic and now we're in this quasi work from home situation. We're spending more time than ever in social places. So make sure that your business is there and it's part of the discussion. 7 out of 10 consumers that have a good social experience with a brand are likely to recommend it to other people. So I know there's nothing I love more, and this is going to make John cringe because he's so not a social media user. But if I'm using a brand of product, like I use something called Supergoop, I'm very fair. I put a lot of SPF on. I've been a loyal Supergoop user for 2 years, and found them on Instagram. And I posted a little thing like, "Oh, got my Supergoop on," and they were like, "Hey, thanks, Laura, looking good." And I was like, they saw me. I feel seen. People like that. Your customers like that. You know, if you give them a little shout out and say that they're like one of your favorite customers, customers like that. You can do that at a local level. So social media is great for that. The average adult spends a little over an hour on social media every day. 2/3 of adults are Facebook users. This is a big audience. Um, it's also a great way to show that your business, tell your business's story, show how you interact with the community. A big piece or a big type of content, which we'll talk about next, tactic 4, that was getting a lot of engagement during the pandemic was how are you involved in your community? And as well as things that made you feel nostalgic. So those were like the two big types of posts or content to write. So social media is essential for doing that. There are 3 different types of social media exposure. And I'll ask, how many of you, if you do have social media, how many of you are posting on a regular basis? Yeah, that's usually what I see, kind of like this, kind of like I am. You should be, to give you an idea of how we post on social media for businesses to make sure it's effective, 3 to 4 times a week. So 3 to 4 times a week is kind of like what you should do on social media from an organic perspective to keep that algorithm recognizing who you are and what you do so that you actually show up in front of your audience. The other piece of showing up in front of your audience is, okay, so maybe you're like, I have a Facebook and I have 37 followers. Those are the only people who are going to see your social posts. So even if you're doing your due diligence, posting 3 to 4 times a week, they're the only ones that are going to see it, plus maybe up to 5% of people who just randomly come across you. Otherwise, you have to do promoted posts. So promoted posts are kind of the less expensive way to show up in front of an audience. It gets you in front of people who their actions, their profile, their behaviors online indicate that they might do business with you. So you can throw a little money behind a promoted post, make the most of your social posting. The last type of social media exposure that I'll talk about is ads. This is the most effective way to get in front of people who are not already following you. You can create different objectives. That's something we can talk through together if you need help. But come up with a persona. Who is it that you want to reach? How do you want to get in front of them? Customize the audience, throw an ad up in front of them. That is the most effective way to get found on social media. It's also great for SEO, all this stuff. All right. The last tactic that I'll share with you is leveraging content to become a trusted source. So a lot of clients that I work with, they have done, at least maybe they've started a blog or they post somewhat regularly and they're like, yeah, we create this content on LinkedIn and I'm trying to be a thought leader and viewed as an expert in my space. That's an excellent start. So if you're doing that, kudos to you. You are already ahead of the game. Most consumers, so 78% of customers, believe that businesses providing custom content are actually interested in building a good relationship with their customers or their patients or their clients. So it's not just about, hey, I saw this information that was useful, I'm going to start following them, or I'm going to call them and do business with them. It's more than that. Customers look at this as, oh, that business actually wants to share some information with me and make sure that I'm having a good experience. People are starting to look at content as communication, like just like human communication. So it's essential that you have that. If you are, if you go to a networking event and you stand like this in the corner and you don't really say anything to anybody, people are going to talk, not to you, but about you, right? They're going to start thinking like, why is this person acting this way? That you have to share your voice to be heard, right? This is you sharing your voice. That's what content is. It's sharing the voice of your business. It doesn't have to be a blog or an article, though those are fabulous, great SEO content or optimized content. Your website. I'll come back to that beef farmer that I was talking about. Your website should provide customers with all the resources and answers that they need in a way that Google recognizes. So that's where the tricky part is. If somebody online is searching for, oh my gosh, like custom made mugs, and I'm typing in custom made mugs, so I want to give them to all my girlfriends, it should take me to a page on a website that says, create your custom mug here. It should directly correlate with that search. That sometimes misses the mark. Customers will have how they see it, especially if they're seeing their industry through a lens where they're like the expert in it, but that's not the way people are searching. I'll reference a pool client of mine that I have. This guy's great, very into converting pools into saltwater pools. That's his thing. He gets very into filters and pools and all these really technical things. And he's like, yeah, I want to optimize for it. And he starts listing all these types of filters that are very specific. And I'm like, fuck, we got to take a step back. That's not what I'm searching for. I'm searching for how much does it cost to convert my pool to a saltwater pool, or like who is the best saltwater pool builder locally, or whatever. Those are the searches people are putting in. Maybe 1% of people are like, I want I don't even know, I'm 95,000, whatever filter. Maybe people are putting that in, very few, right? We need to make sure the content offsite people are searching for resonates with what you have on site. That's all content. Social media posting, very important, 3 to 4 times a week. Video. 1 out of every 3 people who watch a video ad are making a purchase from that business. 33%. That's a very high conversion. Why is that? We can see the product in action. I can see how trustworthy the business owner is. Whatever it is that you're conveying in that video ad gets people excited. Most of us are pet owners, I've learned on this call. If you are looking for a vet and there's a cute little cat snuggling with the vet, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, they're so compassionate. I want them snuggling my cat, right? That's how we're programmed to do business with people now. So you can create that content pretty easily, especially if you hire a professional to do it. If you have that skill yourself, do it, give it a try. Let me know what the conversion was. I'd be really interested in that. Articles, of course, are very rich with text and content, helping show up in searches. Offers, people love discounts, especially right now. The economy's weird. Any sort of loyalty programs, discounts. I'm definitely one of those people that's like, oh yeah, if I buy 1 more coffee, I get free coffee. Give me that stamp card. I'm that, right? So those sort of things. And then events, like John and I promoted this event, and Sue did all the work with the promoting of the event. Thank you. So promoting virtual, in-person, online events. Maybe you're doing community service and you want to invite the community to come out and join you. Post that. That shows how you're giving back to the community. It's also great content to have you show up in searches. So just keep in mind, content is king or queen, and it helps you show up in searches. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a blog or an article. Like your stock portfolio, you want to keep it diversified. People all absorb or take in content different ways, right? All right. Every good leader knows when to ask for help. If you're writing down this list and you've written down your who, what, where, when, how, and you've made some notes during this, and you're like, do I have a Google business profile? Is my website mobile friendly? What's my social look like right now? Do I have bad reviews out there? If you're writing these things down and you're like, this is overwhelming, I don't have the desire to do this, I don't have the time to do this, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the resources, partnering with an expert may be a wise choice. John and I happen to be pretty good at this stuff, so feel free to reach out if you need some help. Otherwise, I think I've given you quite a few tips. I've given everyone probably a lot of homework. Check this stuff out. I will also, I'm going to post, as I mentioned in the chat, this Google business mobile friendly site tool. Sorry, I said that in a very choppy way. I am looking for where I can post this in the chat. Maybe I will unshare and do that. So check out, start and see if your website's mobile friendly. Go from there. That'll give you a look at your foundation. And then you can go from there. But that's it. I hope this was helpful. Here is my contact information and John's, and I will now open this up to a Q&A. And I just posted that Google website test in the chat as well.
Thank you, Laura. That is so helpful. I have a question, because sometimes maybe this is more like an internal thing than an external thing, but I think it's a common thing that happens on websites where maybe one business owner, it could be a couple, it could be a CEO and a VP of sales, they have completely different ideas about the website. And they're constantly in conflict with each other, where they'll start off with a vision and they'll build it, and then literally like the next day, like the website looks different because the owner went in and like added their 2 cents to it. And at least that's what I'm experiencing.
I was gonna say, this sounds very detailed and very specific.
And I know that like that question of who, what, where, when, how, of like, sometimes there is that breakdown where there's 2 different focuses, even within like the types of partnerships or clients that you're attracting. Maybe one group wants to attract in the company alliances and the other wants to attract businesses. And so, or just purchasing people. So it's just like, I can see how there's a lot of, should there be 2 websites? I don't know. But when you were talking about when you go to a website and when you want to look for what you want, it's like, can you really do that? Have 2 visions in a website? Or should you just separate the 2? I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty philosophical. I don't know.
Okay, there's a part of that I cannot help with, and that is getting on the same page with the CEO. That is, I don't know, like that part I can't help with. However, I will say this from a digital perspective. If there's overlapping content, like maybe you have a B2B side and then you have a B2C side, that you can keep those things on the same website. You'll just have to be strategic about how you're laying it out. So it's all going to be about, like, maybe you have a drop down for, here's our, like, are you a business? You click here. Are you a client? Click here. You can do that stuff. It usually requires a pretty robust site to be developed, but you can absolutely do that. However, if you have, I'll give an example of someone that I'm working with right now. I almost said a client. He's not yet a client. We're working on this. He has this idea for plant-based dumplings, specifically dumplings. I'll send them your way. So, I mean, I'm going to try them. I'm super excited, and they're very colorful. So he has this idea, e-commerce, retail. He wants to, you can get them shipped frozen. There's that side of the business. The other side of the business is he's trying to promote living a climatarian lifestyle. Okay, what does that mean? First, we got to educate people on what climatarian is, right? And then we have to talk about this lifestyle and what that means. That is far more than like, I want to buy rainbow dumplings that I can throw in the microwave. Probably shouldn't throw it in the microwave if you're living climatarian, but you know what I'm saying? Heat it over an open flame. These are very different things, even though to him, he's like, they're both about being climatarian. I'm like, yeah, but this is retail, e-commerce specific to a client. This other one is a lifestyle. You are educating, you're informing. You can have some articles for each on both, but I would keep them separate. And that's what we're doing with him. So he's going to have a domain about living climatarian, a domain about how to order these dumplings. Those things are going to be kept separate. Can they have some information shared on both? Absolutely. But they should link back specifically to that website with the keywords and key phrases that support that website. So kind of depends. That's your answer. It depends, Sue. But I hope that was helpful.
It was. I do think that is as people are, more wearing different hats digitally, and also wanting to expand their businesses to include other aspects of like their value systems. Like this guy has a way of life, but he's also creating products and to support that lifestyle. So that I am seeing more and more of that on social media and how people want to keep their businesses interesting and relevant.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have one that's actually come from the same kind of general issue has come up in multiple conversations with people. And that is, in general, I've gone and run a Google ad campaign on my own. And it was supposed to be localized because I'm in, just Southern California, yet I'm getting calls from Northern California. I'm getting calls from the Midwest. I'm getting calls from back east. People looking either A, for my services, or B, asking me if I do something that's related to what I do, but not specifically. And A, I'm getting charged for all these because that's the way the Google ad campaign is set up. And B, like, why am I getting calls from out of the area when I thought I had it localized?
Oh yeah, that's a big one, especially because you're right. Google ads are not cheap. They're effective. So if you have the budget, I think you should absolutely invest in them, but they're not cheap. So with that said, you don't want to make errors like that. That to me sounds like a localization error, like they're not geo-targeting in the way that they should. So you want to be pretty specific. Even you saying, I'm located in Southern California. If your clients are coming from all of Southern California, okay, you're gonna have to put in all those neighborhoods or all those zip codes or all those regions. That has to be part of the keyword bank that is set up. And I'm actually gonna stop the share so I can talk to you guys a little more. There we go. You want to make sure that you are setting up what are called like a long tail keyword or a long tail key phrase. So it might be something like plant-based dumplings, Hollywood, California. That'll make sure that any ad that goes out is going to be found only for IP addresses or GPS locators that are shown to be within that purchasing area. Because if you're driving a truck to drop off dumplings, probably not going to drive it to Philadelphia, right? So that's the way to do it. You have to make sure that your campaign is optimized for your area that you serve. If you're a service-based business, that gets to be a little bit trickier because you're like, I serve this whole area. It means that whoever sets up your campaign has to look at every zip code or every city, town, whatever that you target, that has to be set up in your campaign. It might result in a list of 50 different geolocations, but that's how you speak to Google's algorithm. If you're not doing that and you're just putting your keywords in there, plant-based dumplings, you're going to show up wherever somebody's searching for that, and your dollar is not going to go very far.
That's a problem I had. I had set my locations for the city I live in, and then I think I did 15 miles out. And I named a couple of cities. I didn't do zip codes, but I named the cities. But yet I'm in Southern California, and I was getting calls from Tennessee and Philadelphia and Florida. But I mean, when I would go back and check the parameters of when I set it up, when I set up the Google ad, and the Facebook ad was giving me the same kind of problems, it showed that I was localized. It showed the names of the cities, and it showed that I only wanted to advertise for 15 miles out of my city. Yet I was getting, $300 worth of calls every month. So, and that was in the beginning. So I actually stopped them. And most of my business now is word of mouth and referrals. But I'd like to start advertising more in Google and not make that same mistake again.
Mm-hmm. Here's the other layer to that too. If you have, like, for example, my company's main location is in Dallas, Texas. Sometimes there's some server things, like if it's showing that my computer is actually in Dallas, Texas, when I'm not, I'm in the Bay Area, that can create some issues with that. The other piece of it, and here, one of the things that my company does when we set up Google ad campaigns, this is a real bear, you put in negative keywords. I don't want to show up here. I don't want to show up there. So that's another layer to it. So you can put in negative keywords where you do not want to show up. You can imagine how tricky that can be, but you could even put in states or something like that to just kind of help. There's always going to be a little spillover because digital is not an exact science, but just some ways to help it. could be putting in negative keywords to make sure you're not getting those. I would, there's a lot of analytics that come along with those campaigns, as you probably know from doing it yourself. I would pull, so you mentioned Philadelphia, Tennessee, some places like that. I would see if there is something consistent. I'm always getting them from I'm not getting them from North Dakota, but I seem to get a lot from Philadelphia. I seem to get a lot from this. You can put in negative keywords so that somebody does that search, they don't get served an ad.
Got it. Okay, thank you. There's one more question going off to another direction. My website, okay, so my logo is hot pink. Everything is within, I want to keep everything within pinks. When I represent my company and I go out, my little business, I wear pink. I want it known that, you know, we are the pink company. But pink is very attractive on the website. It's kind of harsh on my eyes. And I was thinking, if I were somebody just coming here, I'd be like, oh, your background color offends me, or it's hard on my eyes. You always want something that's aesthetically pleasing. So is there colors that work better than, because I was changing it out when I first started with the season. So during Christmas, I had red, during Valentine's would be more of a pinkish, and then green for St. Patrick's Day. But that requires a lot of work, and it makes the website not consistent. So, and I want to keep my website consistent so customers recognize it when they come in. I also do want them to recognize, oh, this is, you know, Marianne, obviously she's pink.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to leave pink on the background of the website because, like I said, it's hard on the eyes.
Yeah.
It's hard on my eyes.
I get that. So what I would recommend, and this is kind of depend how websites you're going to, a lot of very clean, like white space, which I have mixed feelings on. But from an aesthetic standpoint, and exactly what you're pointing out right now, I like pink too, but yeah, it can be pretty turbulent. So maybe just choose a hue that's a little more aesthetically pleasing, and then break up your site by having white space. Like you probably even noticed my slide deck had a lot of white and then like a captivating picture. That's where websites are going now. Less is more, less blocks of content, little color pops are good, accents, but try not to do big blocks of color, because even a nice color in a big block, people are starting to find unappealing. People like to have open space, nice clean format. So you can still keep your pink, but just little pops of it, and maybe tone it down a notch. I don't want you to tone it down a notch, but maybe just your.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay.
Great questions. Okay.
What other questions do you guys have? Anything else that's driving you crazy, not understanding?
No, everything was really thorough today. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I hope everyone has at least kind of some things jotted down that you can work on right away. And make sure your site's mobile friendly. I saw that Christina did that, and hers is mobile friendly.
I checked mine too. It's good.
Nice job. Good.
You too.
Awesome. That's the first step. Now you're ready to, that's the foundation, right? Your website's your foundation. It's your home. Now you're ready to build on that home. That's where you bring in social and content and all of those things.
Hey, Laura, I just thought of one other question.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about websites, and we know they're really important, but there are a lot of businesses out there who are like, I'm on Instagram and, you know, Facebook, and that's it. I'm not going to have a website. Does still taking, so skip the first step then, obviously, because they're not going to have that, but steps 2, 3, and 4, you know, still owning your Google business profile and the content and engagement and everything else, is that all still relevant and applicable to someone who doesn't have a website?
Yeah. Link back to do that. We'll also say this.
We lost, we're losing you a little bit on audio. Oh,
Oh, is
Okay.
this better? Okay.
Yeah.
Am I moving around too much? I'm an animated speaker, you know, I'm from Philadelphia. We move around a lot. Yes, so you should still have pieces that link back to whatever page it is that clients are landing on, whether that's your social, whether that's a landing page, whatever that is, that all still applies. What I will also say though is this, and this stat is very true and very real, 33% of people will not do business with a company that doesn't have a website. So that stat is, that for me says have a website. They are pretty inexpensive to at least throw up a 3 to 5 page site at this point. There's a lot of free options. When I say free, it's because you still have to host, you still have to put some SEO work into it, but have a website makes you look more legitimate, and you will literally lose a third of people if you don't have one. They've
I
decided.
agree.
Yep,
I agree.
right? It's
Uh-huh.
professional.
So first thing I did is I created the website before I even went into business.
Smart. That's what I always advise my clients to do. Marianne, you're on top of things. I love that.
Sometimes, most of the time I'm mediocre.
Oh, yay. I love this mobile friendly, this stuff going on in the chat too. This is great. But yeah, so having a website's great. If that just feels like inauthentic to you, you don't like the idea or whatever, make sure you're doing those other things because you still got to drive traffic somewhere. A website too, not to harp on this too much, but I'll say one last thing because I feel strongly about this. It is the only digital property you own, and you barely own it, but you do. It is the only digital property you own as a business. You don't own Facebook. You are at Facebook's, we've all learned that, right? You are at Facebook's mercy. If they change their algorithm, that might hurt you. If people start going to some different form of social media, that might hurt you if you're only on one. If somebody makes a terrible comment because they had a bad experience at your business for whatever reason, it's out there and you have no control over that. You do control your website. So take advantage of that.
Alrighty.
Great.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sue. Just to close and wrap up really quick, thank all of you guys for being here today. I really appreciate you guys making the time. We will meet you where you are. So if you guys need help with, just one aspect of anything Laura talked about today, if you have just additional questions that you want to just get answered before you go off on your own, we're here to help and support you guys. So reach out to me, reach out to Laura. We're more than happy to schedule time and chat, and whatever we can do to help you guys be successful, we want to be there for you. So again, thank you guys. We'll be doing this again in June, the 21st. So look out for more emails coming, not only about the next workshop, but other little tips and tricks to help you guys be better in your business and the technology that you're using. So thank you guys. Have a great day.